What's going on, all my wrestlers out there? This is the Wrestling Files. I'm Mighty Q, and today I'm here to tell you guys how to get in wrestling shape. That's the message. This is episode 4. Let's not waste any time. But before we get into anything, I got to say a big thank you to you guys, because without the help of you guys, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. We finally passed 10,000 followers on TikTok, so a huge thank you to you guys. We're well over 200 subscribers on YouTube, so you guys are awesome. I can't say thank you enough. If you want to go get some merch, 2 links down below in the description, and you guys can go check it out. But again, thank you. You guys don't know how much it means to me. It's been fantastic, so thank you so much. So, wrestling shape. Wrestling shape is completely different than any other sport. If you think that you're in shape because you came from football and you're going to try to wrestle now, trust me, you're not in wrestling shape. If you think that you played soccer and you think that you're in wrestling shape, trust me, you're not in wrestling shape. You're nowhere close. If you played baseball, don't worry, you're not even close. You wouldn't even be in football shape. So, wrestling shape is completely different. And touching on the last video in terms of cutting weight, I'm going to briefly kind of touch on that because that's like part of getting in wrestling shape. So the first month of practice is like probably the worst month because you're not in shape and you're definitely getting into shape. That's where you see the biggest decrease in weight loss. So you typically, have your summer weight, and then as you get into the beginning part of the season, that first month of practice, you start ramping things up. You're breathing heavy. You're sweating a lot. You're burning all that stuff that you basically packed on after the season, all throughout summer, having a good time, eating whatever you want to eat, drinking whatever you want to drink. And then once you get into wrestling season, you basically start on a diet. You eat healthier again. You start working out real hard. And that's the biggest difference. And so in terms of the weight cut, the reason I said that you shouldn't be cutting weight is because that first month, you're naturally going to lose a set amount of weight, and you're going to end up being at a very natural walk around weight. And then that's what you get to after the first month. You work out for a month, you're super engaged with wrestling practice. After that first month, whatever your walk around weight is, hey, you can lose like 5 more pounds, and that should be it. Because besides that, if you're really starting to need to lose a bunch more weight, if you need to do a bunch more stuff, that's where things start to get a bit extreme. So there's that. And that's as much as I'm going to touch on the weight cut thing. We've already had discussions on it. You guys blew up in the comments on TikTok. It was awesome. You guys, I love it. I love seeing them. It was awesome. So wrestling shape, the one thing is you don't need equipment. Wrestling shape primarily comes from doing things in the mat room, wrestling live, hard drilling, just kind of doing stuff on your own. But if you're trying to get in shape before the season, if this is something that you want to do all year round to kind of help you keep in shape, there's really 3 things that I advise that people do, and then I'll touch on each of them briefly. The first being stance and motion. Not enough people do it. It's something that if you're able to hold a stance and move around and take a couple shots and down block and do all the things that you do like in your normal stance, hey, do that every single day. Do that for the high school time limit. It's 2-2-2. So you know what? Do a full match of stance and motion every day. Your legs are going to be burning. You're going to be feeling it. It's a great way to get your legs accustomed to it because it's both a static movement and you're needing to be held in that same motion, because there's times that you are going to be just standing in your stance. You're not going to be moving, and you're going to be hand fighting and doing other things. And then there's going to be those times when you're squatted down low, you're in your stance, knees bent, butt down, and you're going to be moving, you're going to be down blocking, you're going to be taking shots, and you're going to need to be in a good stance at all times. It lends to being explosive and being in a good position. So not enough people do stance and motion. I think stance and motion is a great way. It's a great workout. I think if you were to do an excess of 6 minutes, go 2 minutes and then take a 30-second rest, do another 2 minutes, 30 seconds rest, and then do 2 minutes to finish it off. If you want to exceed that, I'd probably say do 5 rounds at 2 minutes at a time. Your legs are going to be burning. You're going to be feeling it. And it's a great workout. It is honestly a great way to warm up too, because it gets the blood flowing. For a lot of people, you'll start sweating just from that. So it's a good thing as a warm up. It's also a good thing as a cool down. But really at the end of the day, it's good overall because it is actually wrestling focused. Secondly, doing push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. Herschel Walker did thousands of these a day. And if you try to tell me that Herschel Walker isn't one of the greatest athletes that we've ever seen, that's just absurd. Herschel Walker, phenomenal athlete, didn't do any weight training, just did push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and the dude was a Heisman in college. He was an all-pro in the NFL. He then fought in MMA. I mean, the dude is ripped. He's absolutely jacked. And if you try to say that he's not a phenomenal athlete or you don't think he's one of the best ever, then you're just flat out wrong. Like, that is just a wrong opinion. And doing push-ups is great. I wouldn't advise you to just, do like a lot of reps at one time. Like, doing 10 sets of 10 is perfectly fine. It's a lot safer for your muscles because when you start doing that many reps, sometimes you run the risk of tearing your muscle down too much, which is a thing. And there's a lot of people that say, oh, no, it's good. You want to tear the muscle as much as possible. That's not true. It's not a thing. That's what leads to more injuries. So doing, 10 sets of 10, even 20 sets of 10, and give yourself some time in between. Don't do like 10 reps and like wait 10 seconds and do 10 more. Like, yes, it is a workout, but doing 100 push-ups, I want to say what the math is behind it. It's 60, I think it's like 60 or 65% of your body weight. So you have to think about, okay, you're pushing X amount of weight. So if you were 100 pounds, you're going to be essentially pushing 60 or 65 pounds 100 times. That is still a lot of weight, and especially depending on how much you weigh, that can skew things. But if you were to tell someone to, hey, go do 10 sets of 10 for push-ups, I'd say it's going to take you probably 10, 15 seconds to do 10 push-ups, maybe 20 seconds. And you know what? Take a 2-minute, 3-minute rest if you're looking to get like a decent sweat going. Otherwise, if you're just trying to, get a little bit of strength and get a good pump going, honestly, in your chest and in your triceps and your arms, and push-ups shockingly work your back phenomenally well if you actually control the eccentric, which is the way down. If you control yourself down, explode up, do 10 reps and do 10 sets of 10, do that every single day, the strength that you're going to have is going to be a massive increase. But like I said, don't try to do like 50 reps at a time. Like, that will build over time, but doing that many reps and doing a lot of sets of that really isn't the most beneficial thing for you. Doing 100 push-ups a day to start and doing 10 sets of 10, and then you can eventually build up and go, okay, well, I'm going to do 11 sets today, or I'm going to do 12 sets, and then just kind of gradually add 10 more in there. And you can do that and gradually build until you get to whatever number you want to get to. But doing 100 push-ups a day is fantastic, especially doing 100 pull-ups because, again, depending on how much you weigh, pull-ups do kind of skew a little bit different to where if you are heavier, doing that many pull-ups in a day can lead to more injury. It is harder when you weigh more. So it is something that is tough. But, doing 25 pull-ups a day to start and then gradually building up from there. Again, that's doing 5 sets of 5 and really 5 reps, be super explosive with them. And after, 5 reps, most people really aren't as explosive with pull-ups anyways. Make sure to lock your arms out fully. That's one big thing that a lot of people that do pull-ups, or at least that I see, not enough people go all the way down. And what you're doing when you're not doing a full rep, it starts to shorten your muscle, and you don't want short muscles. Like, too many people, want these giant biceps, and they'll do these little half curls, and they'll curl from here to here, and all you're doing is you're shortening your bicep. And so yes, you're going to build, but it's going to be built as a shortened muscle. And when it gets shortened, especially with wrestling, if you have to extend your arm out fully, all it's going to do is put a lot of tension on your bicep, and that is something that leads to people that tear their bicep. Normally, they're not doing full reps on bicep curls, but especially for pull-ups, the best way to do it, get those lats nice and long, extend your arms and lock them out fully, go all the way down, pull yourself up, get yourself to your nose or your chin. You can do either. That level doesn't really matter as much, but making sure that you get up to the bar, and then you lock out fully, get those nice long lats, get about a second of a pause down at the bottom, explode up on a pull-up, and like I said, do 5 sets of 5 and gradually increase that. Like, let's say every week you add another set in there. So you go from 25 the first week and then 30, 35, and you're going to gradually build up. You're going to, again, see a massive strength increase. And the last thing being sit-ups. You can do 100 sit-ups a day. I think a lot of people can probably do more than 100 sit-ups, but it's, again, something that doing 10 sets of 10 every single day and gradually increase as you go over time. You can do crunches if you'd like to do crunches. I'd recommend doing sit-ups just so that way you can get a little bit longer of an actual sitting up motion versus a crunch. Some people do them like real shallow where their knees and elbows are already really close together. And so they sometimes end up just working the top part of their abs versus a sit-up works more of both the top and bottom. And especially find a couch, find a chair, have something to hold your feet down, have a buddy hold your feet if you're, in the mat room doing it, and, do 10 sets of 10, get some sit-ups working, and just do that every day. Those 3 workouts: push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. You can do those every single day. I'd recommend starting with 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, probably start about 25 pull-ups, and just work from there. 10 sets of 10 for push-ups and sit-ups, 5 sets of 5 for pull-ups, and gradually increase over time. Your strength, that's all that you need. And then adding in the last thing being running. Yes, I think it is smart to run, starting at a mile, and then you get and gradually building up to where you're able to run for 20, 30 minutes consistently, even 45 minutes. But another thing that's important when you lend it to wrestling, because that's where we're going back to and saying getting in wrestling shape. So when you first start running, I recommend, if you don't run at all, I recommend running 800 meters. Start small, because that is something that can definitely lead to injury. Running is something that if you just try to jump in and do a lot of it really fast, your body's not going to respond well, because you have to build up the muscles in your feet to run over time. You have to build up the muscle is called your tibialis, which is the muscle that's on the front side of your leg. That's basically like runs alongside your shin. That's actually the muscle that lends itself to when like your foot lands, it slows your foot down. So that's something that builds up over time, and that's what leads to less shin splints. Your Achilles are going to be stressing. Your hip flexor is going to be stressing. Your quads, your hamstrings, your butt, all that stuff lends itself to, if you don't run, I recommend starting small and building gradually. That's where I say start with about 800 meters, go run 800 meters, and then kind of build up from there. Go from 800, and then you can build to 1200, and then go to a mile, and then stay at a mile for a while. Run a mile till you can get under 8 minutes. And then once you get to about 7.5 minute mile, then start to increase that number, go 1.5 miles. And then from 1.5 miles, you can then get to 2 miles. And then from 2, you can gradually keep increasing from there. But a big thing when you do run, and I'd suggest doing running workouts as interval workouts, which a lot of people already kind of do this anyways when you see some people when they go to the track, and I think this is good to do at a track. Run 100, walk 50, run 100, walk 50, run 100, walk 50, and do this for, 3-4 laps. You can do more than that if you feel, but make sure when you run, I'm not saying to sprint, but run at a pretty brisk pace. Like it should be a pretty good jog. Like you're not trying to really pace yourself on that 100 meter, but at the same time, you're not trying to sprint. I mean, it should be a good run. Definitely make sure you're striding out, you're picking up your knees to get that good stride length, but do intervals when it comes to running, because that's something that really lends itself well for wrestling, because there's times when there's going to be an absolute flurry and it's a scramble, you're in on a shot and a guy's sprawling and you're countering and you're in a scramble, and it's only a short period of time. It might be 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds of a scramble where you're going until you then come to more of a controlled position where you're both kind of back on 50-50 to some degree. So that's where running intervals is absolutely fantastic, because that's what that is meant to do. It's, running at a good pace for that 100 meters, and then walking lends to, okay, well, your heart rate is going to still be going. And so you want to try to bring your heart rate down, and then you're going to ramp it back up, and it's going to come back down and ramp up, back down. And so I think running intervals is one of the best ways of training, especially when it's for a sport like wrestling, because wrestling is something that has constant motion to where, even when you're in your stance, it's taxing your legs, and, you're trying to stay there and you're in the motion, and it is something that is a relaxed position. But there are those scrambles where it's 10, 15 seconds of absolute flurry. You're basically sprinting. You're all out. You're doing all this stuff. And then you're going to come to a stop. And that stop brings you that second to kind of catch your breath. And you're back at this motion. But that stance and motion that you could be in, like, that's what's mimicked by that walking. And so I think running is a tremendous way to do this, both, going and running long distance and building up, being able to run 2, 3, 4, 5 miles at a time, where you're able to run the whole time, where you're not, putting some walking in there. But then I think a big thing too is running those intervals where you run for 100, you walk for 50, you run for 100, and do, a couple laps around the track, and you're going to feel the heavy breathing. You're going to feel your heart rate going. So those are the things that I recommend you do. Stance and motion for as many rounds as you like. I suggest at least 3 2-minute rounds, because that's what lends itself for high school matches. And then you've got your push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. You can do 100 sit-ups and push-ups in a day, and probably about 25 pull-ups per day. And then you've got your running, and then also incorporating running intervals in there. So I think those are the best 3 ways to get in wrestling shape. If you think there's other ways, there definitely are. Anything that you think of in your mind, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, hey, I should go do this, or I should go ride a bike, or I should go and, try to drill, or I should go do whatever your mind thinks and tells you to do, go do it. Like, if you're sitting on the couch and you see something pop up and you have an idea and it's like, well, I should probably go run 2 miles. Well, you know what you should do? Get up and go run 2 miles. Your mind is telling you that for a reason. You thought of it for a reason. Your mind is saying, hey, this is a good thing to do. And I think you should maximize on that. You should always take advantage of that. But getting in wrestling shape is not easy, because practices are not easy. Hard drilling, not easy. Live wrestling, multiple matches in a day. Live wrestling for 5 minutes is tough. Live wrestling for 30 minutes is tough. Live wrestling for an hour is really tough. The best way to get in shape is definitely by wrestling. But if you want to help yourself out, if you want to get in good shape outside of that can lend itself as close to as you want to get for wrestling shape, then you got to do stance and motion. You got to do your push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. And then you got to be doing a lot of running, because nothing's going to compare to the sport. Nothing's going to compare to wrestling with another person. There's just certain things that wrestling involves that you can't exactly train outside of for, but those 3 things will definitely get you as close as you can get. It's going to get you in really good shape, and it's going to lend itself as close as you can to wrestling. So that's all I got for you guys today. That's what I think is the best way to get in shape. As always, thank you guys for tuning into these videos. You guys have been absolutely incredible. You guys are already leaving comments. You guys have sent me emails. You guys are leaving me, other comments and follows and subscribes. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Like, you guys really don't understand how much I appreciate it. It means a lot to me, because I do have a lot of info that I like to give to you guys. I want to help you guys out with as much as possible. I know I posted the training video of just a short clip of, the way that I was describing that double leg with that tap arms drag to the double. Go check that out if you haven't seen it already. But as always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let your teammates know about these videos. Check out the 2 links in the description. Pick yourself up some merch. As always, I thank you for your appreciation and how much you guys have helped me out. But if you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, that is it for me today. Mighty Q, I'm out. I'll catch you guys on the next one.